Hey everybody, I'm John,
Hey, I'm Paul.
and this is episode 5 of What If Geeks. We are jumping into the new year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year! So, what we want to do overall, the idea for this show is now that Paul and I have gotten a lot of the background stuff out of the way, our idea is to record on a regular basis, schedule allowing. So hopefully you guys can get something every week. So we're starting now. It's July. Holy shit. Here we go. It's starting already. It's January 8th, so we'll see how long this takes to get out the door.
That's right.
But it's been a learning progress, as you can see in everything we do. We recorded everything else way before the holidays, so you'll see the background stuff later, but you can kind of click on that later on and laugh at how bad we are. But this is our first-ish episode that we're going to record for the new year. So basically, we just want to talk about like everything that we loved about 2018, stuff that stood out to us in our culture, and then what we're looking forward to in 2019.
Absolutely.
So, what do you think? What do you want to start?
Kick us off. Start with one of the best movies early, sort of 2018. What'd you like that was early?
The first one that I got on my list, by the way, my list for each of these movies is about 3 or 4 pages long, so we're going to cut it short. But the first one, obviously, would be the first superhero movie. The big one for 2018 was Black Panther.
Yeah.
That thing was phenomenal.
Wakanda forever.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I loved it. I think that there was a lot of hype behind it. Not undeserved. I mean, it was an amazing movie.
Yeah, good movie.
But as far as like when people put it above other superhero movies, for me, not quite. But we'll get into that later on. Like we get, I think it falls into the whole. It falls into the trope of kind of fighting a villain that's the same as yourself. And I think we talked about this before. But I also understood why they did it that way.
Yeah.
Because it's his brother and whatever. Or his cousin. I get it. So. I liked it overall. I thought it was an amazing movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that they show how deep the power of Wakanda goes.
Right.
As far as how extensive it is. How much they could offer the world.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
Interesting that Marvel is so good at movie making. They have taken some pretty marginal characters in terms of popularity. Like you have to be a pretty detail level comic nerd to know who Black Panther is, to know who Doctor Strange was when the Doctor Strange movie came out.
Yeah.
To know, and I don't want to fast forward too much, but when the Captain Marvel movie comes out, like these are not characters that the general public are familiar with, and they've taken them and made really good movies. Introed Black Panther in Civil War, and now with his own movie, but did it in a way that you don't have to be a comic nerd to have appreciated what that story was about.
Right. And then they did it perfectly to me. So like introduce him first in Civil War, show what his initial motivation is, and then you give him that backstory. You show no there's a history of these kings being Black Panther, But you initially start that in Captain America Civil War.
Yep. And
then you show how he is, and then you just build on that. They did it really, really well. And I know we've touched on this time and again, and I will never stop. I'll never stop touching on it.
You'll go blind.
Well, you already wear glasses. It's okay. I had LASIK. I fixed it. I'm never gonna stop bringing up this point. The fact how Marvel had already sold off all their major shit. I know we've talked about it, and then they started all this with Iron Man. So we'll go on to that stuff later on when we do the rest of the superhero shit. But they made a point of making this entire universe that we're in love with now, and it's off of B characters,
Yep.
So Black Panther just fell right in there, and it was perfect. So that was Black Panther. Let's see. I mean, there was a handful of stuff that's not necessarily in our wheelhouse, so we can maybe we'll come back and we'll do a full 2018 review. But there's a whole bunch of stuff in there that was just, to me, like I like my comedies. It's like stuff like Game Night and Blockers. I really like those movies. Ready Player One. Did you ever see that?
I read the book, and the book is amazing. And when the movie came out, I watched enough of the trailers and didn't see the things that I liked so much in the book that I didn't see the movie because I'm afraid it's going to ruin it. Okay. And so one of them in the book, he ends up, the giant mech that he uses at the end isn't the Iron Giant. In the book, it's, if you remember, there's really bad, they took Spider-Man and they licensed Spider-Man to the Japanese.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
And he had a dune buggy and a thing, but he had this giant mech named Leopardon. And
yes,
and that's what he uses at the end of Ready Player One. And I loved it so much reading it. And then when I see the preview and the trailer, he's in the Iron Giant. I'm like, nope, this is going to mess it up. So I just couldn't bring myself to see it. I need to watch it like on an airplane or when it comes on Netflix or something else. I don't have to pay for it because it's just going to ruin it. It's such a great book, and so cool in that it mentions like when they talk about who's going to be the president and the vice president of the Oasis.
Right.
Like the vice president is I'm going to forget his name now. Wesley Crusher from Star Trek. It's,
Will Wheaton.
Yeah, it's Will Wheaton.
Thank you, Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. But yeah, my next best thing, obviously, the giant hero movie of 2018 is Infinity War.
Yeah, we're gonna say that one to the end.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, we'll punt that. We'll do that one later because that one's gonna take us a bit. All right. History of video game movies.
Okay.
They suck.
Yeah.
Okay. There, we're in agreement. The one that was even remotely decent was like Mortal Kombat. The first one.
Yeah.
I thought it was cute, amusing, whatever. My wife's giving me a dirty look. But 2018 brought us Rampage. Brought us Dwayne Johnson, who apparently can do no wrong. At least not my wife's eyes.
Mine either.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Rampage was the first video game movie I even considered liking. Like, I was like, holy shit. All right. When they first announced it, because, like I've said before, I listen to podcasts that talk about the behind-the-scenes stuff and, this is coming in a year and a half or whatever, So it's kind of like in our wheelhouses, the stuff that we were into. When they first announced Rampage, I was like, how the hell are you going to make a movie out of a giant monkey and a lizard beating the shit out of buildings?
Right.
So then we rented it or we got it, however we watched it online or whatever. I'm sitting there in my living room and I'm like, holy shit, they did it. And they actually made me give a shit. And I was like, all right, whatever, you know what, I'm in. I'm 100% in. And it was great. Did you see it?
I did not.
Oh, you got to see it. Okay, you got to see it. It's all Dwayne Johnson. He sold that friggin' movie
yeah.
for me. I mean, they just
be the only person that could do it.
Yeah, he's the only one that you could take seriously in that role, which makes me laugh my ass off. Yeah. Heather says it's the dimples.
It might be the muscles.
It might be the muscles too. Yeah.
No,
So.
it's Dean Morgan.
Oh yeah, Jeffrey Dean Morgan was in that too. That's right. That's right. Yes. You bring in Dwayne Johnson, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and my wife is sold. We're done. Thank you, honey.
Those monsters just get sucked up in the dimples.
That would be my wife. Somebody buy a cup. We'll explain that later. A little self-promotion. My wife does crafting. All right, so after Rampage, then we roll into probably the most anticipated sequel outside of Avengers. It was Deadpool 2. Now, you've seen the Deadpool?
Yep.
Both of them?
Nope. So the first one.
I'm going to choke him. Okay. I don't know how... You've seen all the trailers for Deadpool 2?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not going to try to spoil any of this shit for you. One, it's... Chapter 2 are the same.
Okay.
Right? It's the same. So all the humor and all that shit that you liked, it's all there. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Just flat out, this guy is Deadpool. I don't think he knows how to be anybody else.
Right.
Much like
Except Green Lantern.
No,
Which we
wait
won't
until
talk
you
about.
see this movie.
Which we won't talk about.
Wait until you see this movie. The payoff to what you just said is going to be great.
Is that right?
You're going to text me. You're going to be like, holy shit. Yeah. Outside of Johnny Depp being Jack Sparrow, this dude is Deadpool. The movie was great. It was a really good sequel. They recently did the PG-13 one, Once Upon a Deadpool.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one. I've heard it's, but it was going up against a lot of shit around the holidays too. So
It was also sort of it was only out for about a week or so, or something like that. It was meant to be PG-13. It was a little bit of a stunt, so
yeah, it was. And get a little more cash, send some to the cancer research. It's great. But overall, though, I mean, it was a perfect sequel. Yeah, and I know most, especially comedy sequels, are really hard to pull off. He nailed it. So you definitely got to see that one. In fact, when you're ready to watch it, let me know. I've got it on digital, so we'll sit down and watch it together.
Okay.
But just so I can see your expression on the payoff. All right, you got something else? You want to keep going?
No,
I've got a laundry list of shit here.
No, I just did them by what I thought was some of the best things in 2018. I didn't make a list of all the movies, so that's why I skipped right to Infinity War.
Okay.
But go with what you got.
The next one would be, we're getting into May, and you got Solo.
Yeah.
All right. So going off of, let's see, it was Solo. All right, Solo got a bad review as far as after Last Jedi, right? I think it got a bad rap because of Last Jedi. I think Last Jedi was one of those, it was so divisive as far as Star Wars fans that there was no appeasing some people once you got into Solo. But I tried to go into Solo with a clear conscience and just kind of watch it without paying attention to how much I disliked anything else. And overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I thought they told everything that you wanted to see, they showed you. You know? They showed you how they somehow tried to explain the Kessel Run, and they kind of made it.
Yeah.
They kind of fixed George Lucas's time and measurement.
Distance.
Distance.
Mess up.
They fixed that, kind of. The biggest thing to me was Donald Glover.
He's so good. So good as Lando.
The first time you saw him, when he leaned back, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, he got it.
He's Lando.
Yeah.
So, and the dude, I can't remember his name now, that played Han Solo. But,
he's Dutch.
somebody throw it in there.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out later. There were moments there where I kept telling my wife, I'm like, he looks just like Harrison Ford back in the day. There's certain faces he made. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it. And you got someone as iconic as that. You gotta, the diehards are like, he doesn't look nothing like him.
Right.
So, duh.
Yeah.
Sorry. But then if they would have digitally de-aged Harrison Ford, people would have been pissed about that too.
Yeah.
So whatever. There's no making anybody happy. But overall, I liked it.
I didn't see it until much later in the year, and when I saw it, I had to tell myself that is not Harrison Ford. Just go with, they're calling this guy Han Solo, just go with it. Don't try to think, well, if he aged by a bunch of years, would that be Han's? Don't do that. Just enjoy this for what it is. And I really liked it.
Yeah.
Loved how he meets Chewie.
That was so great.
Yeah. Love how he ends up with the Millennium Falcon. Just liked all of it.
Yeah. So, it was good. All right, so then we skip down to Incredibles 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Incredibles 2. Once again, I know we said this before with superhero movies, but, Fantastic Four done right.
Yes. Why can we not make a good Fantastic Four movie?
Hang on. 2019 is coming. Maybe. We'll see. About 2020, 2021. We'll see what happens. So, mergers are ready to go.
When they get out of that Sony universe?
Fox.
Fox.
Yeah.
Oh, is that who has that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not anymore.
Yeah.
Disney's got it. So, it's just a matter of they got to wrap up their time now.
Got it.
So, yeah. So, Incredibles 2.
Yeah.
Again, another one. I mean, why it took them so long to make this sequel when they made, like, Cars 3? Sure, whatever. I mean, dude, you're making, like, Cars 3, Planes, and whatever else you're making.
Yeah.
Incredibles 2 should have been, like, high up there.
Right.
So, of course, it broke every internet, whatever, when they made it. It was great. Everybody loved it, so it was cool.
Good movie. Interesting to watch Mr. Incredible sort of be the stay-at-home dad, and they didn't do that. They didn't. I'm glad they didn't do the trope of like he's kind of a bumbling idiot at home and do like the Tim the Toolman thing where every episode like he screws it up until he talks to the neighbor and figures it out. Like he did a pretty decent job. And then, Jack has all the powers and he figures that part out. But it wasn't
like
like
the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah, but it wasn't like he's a dumbass at home, barely keeping things together. Like he handled what he had to handle. That's fine.
Yeah, and the Jack shit. Now, all right, well,
the Jack raccoon fight is
that goes down in like probably one of my top 10 superhero fights ever. Going back to the Mr. Incredible thing. If you noticed, all that was a retelling of Mr. Mom.
Yeah.
It was, Michael Keaton stayed at home while Terry Garr.
Terry Garr.
Hey, look at that. Ooh! The memory's not all gone.
But, like, Mr. Mom, he goes through like, he feeds the baby chili. Like, that's, like, all that bad stuff happens at first. And it didn't.
Yeah, Mr. Incredible never does that.
Yeah.
He the math is math, Joe.
The new math?
The Comic Core?
Yeah. That was hysterical.
Thank you for making my parenting experiences worth it.
Yeah.
That was good. I like that. Yeah, overall, I thought the movie was great. I mean, just the Jack with the 20-something powers. And you'll randomly find online, and I'll post some to the Facebook group, you see, like, pictures of all of them together, but then, like, you see, like, the fan art where they do, like, the 3 kids older. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
I'll have to find some of those and throw them up there. They're pretty cool looking. But yeah, that one was good. I hope they make it number 3.
Yeah.
I mean, well, they have to.
It made so much money.
Better not take another 10 fucking years. That much. Let's see. I'm skipping over to go to
John's got a list of just about every movie that came out in 2018, except I don't get to the movies very often, so I had to go through and like check which ones I've seen and didn't see.
Somehow I managed to see most of these too. Not all of them, but most of them. There are a couple of them on here that we're gonna have to talk about later, just because it'll be like in another discussion.
Yeah.
Like side note, we're gonna discuss all of my complaints about the first Purge. We're gonna talk about that shit. My daughter made me watch that, and that's another like 2.5 hours I'm never gonna fucking get back in my life. But moving on, we got to July, and we got Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
So what'd you think?
Loved it. Funny, good kind of buddy hero movie. Like as they start to get to know each other and eventually fall in love. Michael Douglas is really good in that movie. The dudes that I don't know what their names are. The guys that hang
Lewis
out.
Lewis is one of them. That's all I know. Yeah.
Those guys are amazing. Is that T.I. or who is the?
I forget who.
He's a rapper.
The black guy is T.I. Yeah. That's T.I. the rap. Yeah, he's the rapper. I forget what the Spanish guy's name is. But
those guys are hysterical.
He's always been good. In fact, I heard somebody on another podcast say something they wanted to see, and now I want to see it, even if it's just like one of those little Marvel one-shots, like not after credits, but something, where Lewis didn't get hit by the snap, so he's like telling somebody the story of what happened.
Oh.
The way he talks.
Yeah.
I want I want to see his telling
Yeah.
of what the hell happened in Infinity War.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, that'd be funny.
That would be funny.
Yeah. So that was good. When the suit malfunctions
Mhm.
in the school, that about had me peeing.
Yeah.
I was like, that was amazing. It was everything. The timing was perfect on
Mhm.
that movie. It was really cool, and the whole lead up into the next stuff.
Yeah, the quantum realm and how that's going to work into the Endgame trailer,
Yeah.
and then he shows up. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's all
Yeah.
pretty good.
And then we'll go into that when we go into the second half of the superhero stuff, because I want to touch on. Well, getting ready for Captain Marvel and Avengers Endgame. I want to break down the entire MCU, and we'll kind of go through the whole thing. That'll probably be like a 5-part. So we'll go through the whole thing. We'll talk about it. All right. So let's see. After that, then all right. I know you skipped it, but I got to talk about Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Oh, I need to put that on my list to see. I really want to.
You-
I can see that with my kid.
You need to watch this friggin' movie. I thought, like, all right, I'm just going to go see this for Noah. Holy shit, is this movie funny. It's, yeah, like, Teen Titans Go, when I first saw Teen Titans Go, like, on Noah's iPad, when he was watching on YouTube, whatever, I remember the Teen Titans cartoon prior to that.
Mhm.
Now, I know it's, like, mostly the same voice actors and everything they're doing this one, because they all sound the same.
Yeah.
It's just like it got that slapstick thing going on that
Yep.
was really annoying me, you know. So I was like, whenever he watches it, I'm like, yeah, I get a laugh out of it because they're telling jokes. But I wanted to go back to seeing the other one, right?
Yep.
We went to go see the movie, so I wasn't really like, okay, I'm gonna laugh, and that's about it, you know. The whole thing is just phenomenal.
Is that right?
It's great. I mean, just from like all the different superheroes that are in it to the way they play it, you know, how it goes along, the story and everything. I don't want to ruin anything for you. But that stuff and the cameos. Yeah, there were a couple of cameos, but one is in particular, you're just going to piss. You're going to be like, no shit. The whole movie is great. And of course, you don't have to sit in the theater anymore, but you have to wait until the very end and watch the end credits, a little bumper, and that brings you back to some other shit. So we'll talk about that after you watch that. So of course, again, we always do superhero shit. So when we do we'll do like whenever you catch up with a movie that I've already watched, or vice versa. We'll like in that first 5-10 minutes of whatever episode we're doing, we'll like, all right, here's our recap.
Right.
Yeah. You know, Paul finally watched To Kill a Mockingbird.
I still haven't seen it all the way through. Don't spoil it. It came out in 1968.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. All right. So moving on, we got the Meg.
So I saw the Meg. I've seen enough of the Meg to tell you I saw the movie because someone was watching it. I was on a plane, and someone in the seat like over to the right and up one. So I was on the aisle, and the person on the aisle on the other, not right next to me, but one row up, was watching it, and I wasn't watching the movie. And they fast forward enough that I saw the beginning, a bunch of the middle, and the very end. And I'm like, done. Check it off my list.
Hey, cool. You've seen more of it than I have.
Yeah.
There's one.
Giant
Megalodon.
The Meg stands for Megalodon, the giant shark that is the ancestor of modern day sharks. I'm sure there's some kind of science gone awry that brings it back. And the thing is massive. And Jason Statham and
Roundhouse kicks it.
Yeah, and somebody and somebody else, they go looking for it, and there's this scene where it's kind of like, do you remember when we were kids and Foghorn Leghorn would go whip the dog and then, pull it by the tail, smack it with the 2x4, and then he knew where the rope line was, so he'd run. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like the shark, there's something holds the shark back, and Jason Statham and this other woman are swimming. And it's like it's going to engulf like half the boat, and then it hits this thing that it like this leash chain thing that it's on, and it stops. And I'm in this seat going, you got to be kidding me.
All right, yeah, I gotta watch this one. This is on my list. Some of the ones that I haven't seen, The Predator, I haven't seen. Obviously, you haven't either. I wanted to watch that. I heard Matt on that one. Yeah, we'll skip over half of this shit. We'll go back over it again. We'll play around with 2018 again during January just to talk about dumb shit. And I'm sure these will come up later on, like in random conversations, like kids' movies or whatever. The one, okay, so you have not seen Venom.
I have not.
All right, I watched it.
What'd you think?
Do you remember when we discussed Venom prior to me seeing it, and I said, I don't know how the hell they're going to make a Venom movie without Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, that being said, it wasn't a bad movie. I think Tom Hardy saves this movie.
Right.
I think it was, again, like Sony really should have said, hey, Marvel, we're going to work with you more hand in hand some more so we can kind of grow this whole universe, like I said before.
Right.
But, I guess it's hard to listen to me when I'm not actually broadcasting this podcast out yet. You'll get the word eventually. Hindsight's 2020. So yeah, it was good. It was good enough for me to say, I want to see what comes next.
Okay.
But it was also just good enough for me to say, I really would have loved to have seen what they would do if they incorporated it with Tom Holland.
Right.
So, yeah. So all in all, yeah, it was good, but I would have rather it been connected to Spider-Man. Maybe they'll... Now, it made a shit ton of money. It made a shit ton of money.
Did it?
Yeah, like, I'm talking like, I think it was like 700,000.
Oh, wow.
It was a lot. A lot of money. It was, I'm sorry, 700 million, 700,000. 700 million. It made a lot of money.
Right.
So there's, of course, they already, sequel being done. Will they hopefully try to coordinate something with, who knows?
Yeah.
I hope, because I would love to see it.
It's weird to make a Spider-Man villain movie with no Spider-Man, and I thought the same thing when Fox announced they were making the show Gotham.
Yeah.
Like, how are you? Have you seen it?
Yeah.
I was like, how are you going to make a show about Gotham City, the Batman universe villains, Alfred, Jim Gordon, and no Batman?
Yeah.
And then I watched a couple of them, and I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued. Let's keep going. And
It was, yeah.
And so I watched season 1, and I'm into season 2, and now they're in, and now young Bruce Wayne's growing up, and I think at some point they may get into what in the comics is year 1, Batman year 1. Like, he's going to start doing some stuff.
Yeah,
apparently the season that's about to start, he's going to start to have the Batarang or the grappling hook thing. Some of that stuff's going to start.
The season that you're about to start? Or
No, the one that's going to start like right now.
Well,
in real
because
time.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the final season.
Yes.
So they pretty much told whatever, there's a finite point to that.
Yep.
And that was my same thing too, is how do you do it without Batman? It wasn't great, but it was good. It was, it was enough to where I cared enough about it,
Yep.
and they did enough of that with the villains and stuff to like, oh yeah, you can see that.
Yeah.
They made kind of a, to me anyway, they screwed up the Joker-ish, like the whole trying to give him a backstory and then they said, no, it's not the Joker. Yeah. Well, now you're just stepping on yourself.
Correct.
So either run with what you're going to do, and that's an alternate universe, or whatever. So whatever. So that's the part that kind of turned me off of it. So I hadn't watched it after that. But I'm going to go back and watch it again just to see.
Yeah.
But the thing that made me laugh was because the whole the CW this last couple of years now, kind of break it off into TV now, but the CW stuff with Arrow and Flash and whatever has been really good.
Yeah.
And when they pulled Supergirl over to CW, then they're all in there.
Yeah.
They would do the crossover stuff.
It's on my list.
Yeah.
So they one of my best things for 2018.
But that's one of the reasons they couldn't really, not couldn't, but one of the reasons I think they avoided doing a Batman in Gotham was because they made CW's Arrow too much like Batman.
Yeah.
Which now, I know in the comics he is kind of like him, but there's enough of a difference there in the comics the way you can see, But they made him so they literally made that like, all right, we can't touch Batman, so we're going to make him Batman.
Yeah.
Well, now you make Gotham and you make this and you make that, and So it's kind of,
Yeah.
I think there was some lost stuff there that they could have done that would have been really cool. So, yeah, I'll have to continue, pick back up on Gotham again and check it out again just to see how they end it. All right, so there you go. Just like Venom and Gotham, how do you do the superhero movie or the superhero show without the superhero? You kind of don't.
Yeah.
Moving right into Halloween. All right, I was waiting for this one.
Okay.
Because you saw it before I did.
Yep.
And you were like, you need to go see this freaking movie. Because I was ramping up on it for a while there, especially when we talked about horror. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait until this Halloween thing comes. So they take the Halloween franchise. Halloween 1 is probably one of the first horror movies I ever saw. And then you go through all the sequels, whatever, and then they say, okay, no, none of that counts.
Yep.
Screw that. Right after the first one. So we'll just do brief recaps. I keep forgetting that because we like to tangent. The beats that it hit in comparison to the first one, like we talked about before, were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, they pretty much at some point switch roles in this movie where she's the hunter and it's great.
Yeah.
You have to watch this movie. That's all I can say about that one. That was to make a sequel this late in the game and reboot the whole thing.
Yep.
I heard there's another one they're getting ready to do like that now. I can't remember. It'll come back to me.
Yeah, I think when we talked about horror, it was either Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. Is that one of them?
Friday the 13th, they did.
Yeah.
And I don't think you saw it.
I did not.
No. Because I was telling you that was Jason was fast.
Yeah.
Or whatever. We'll get back to that another time. There's another one that someone said recently, I overheard that they're getting ready to pretty much do the same thing. Where it's going to be, forget all this bullshit. I just don't remember what movie it is. It might not even be horror.
I think the coolest part for me was it really, the Jamie Lee Curtis character, she's so messed up in the head, as well she should be.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you have to think about this in like, she would be messed up. She would live in a compound that has a fence and automated security and cameras and hardened gun points.
That's what that type of PTSD looks like.
Yes, right. And a basement that is, again, spoiler alert, where she's like, it's not a cage, it's a trap.
Yep.
Yeah, and you do, and that's how you would be. And so to see that, and then the relationship with her daughter, that it's messed up because she's trained her whole life to kill.
Right.
That's what you would do.
Yeah,
And so it's realistic in that regard.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So go out and see that. That's got a high rating from us.
Yep.
All right, so moving along. Neither one of us has seen The Grinch or Creed 2. I really want to see Creed 2. I need to watch that. I think I'll have to watch that like this weekend. So I've been dying to see that movie too. It was on my list, and then this is what happens when you get old.
Yeah.
You just, oh yeah, I want to watch that. What do I want to watch? Whatever. So I need to watch that one. I'll watch that one very soon, and we'll get into. Maybe we'll do a breakdown of some of our old '80s shit, like all of Rocky or whatever, and we'll kind of throw all that. We'll do like a whole breakdown of that kind of stuff, right? Because I do love the way it feels like the first Rocky movies, where when it started to get to the end, it wasn't really quite the same. So this is bringing it back to where like I really give a shit about what's going on.
Yeah.
You haven't seen Ralph Breaks the Internet?
I've not.
But I have, and all I gotta say is you need to go see this fucking movie. That, again, comedy sequel, they nailed it. There's so much shit that goes on in that movie that are just like these little jokes that are like right in pop culture. Like you have to watch it now, so you're like, oh my god, really? And like the stuff they do, like the little scene that you see in the trailer, like with the princesses and stuff, they play a little bit on that, and it's perfect. You really gotta watch it. It's really funny.
Yeah, I meant to take home into that.
All right, so now we go into the final few movies, and then
big ones.
Yes, and then we're gonna circle back to our major one. I want to jump over to Aquaman.
Yeah.
Because we've both seen that, and you literally just saw it. So thank you, DC, for making my wife's dream come true. That's all I can say. Yeah, there you go. Aquaman, Smolders.
I should take my wife to see it. That's one of the ones she'll go to see me because she'll just stare at Jason Momoa the whole time. Like,
yeah, that's what happened to me. Yeah, whatever. I sat next to Noah eating popcorn. It's cool. I know it's good. I get it. Okay. Amanda Heard wasn't bad to look at.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not shit down anybody else's throat. But it was nice. Before we get into anything on Aquaman, the only thing, because I'm gonna forget this fucking joke that I've been working on all day. Aquaman, as of earlier today, was at international $940 million.
Wow.
It's this close to $1 billion.
Right.
You know what an Aquaman movie making $1 billion is?
What?
Karma. That's karma for us making fun of the fucking Super Friends. and this motherfucker's talking to fish and you useless bastard. Yep. Okay.
There's a whole episode of The Big Bang Theory when they go in one of the early seasons where they go to a costume party.
Uh-huh.
And
Raj
ends up as Aquaman. He's like, Aquaman sucks.
On the fucking seahorse.
Yeah. On the blow-up seahorse. He's like, Aquaman sucks.
And now, what did I say before? If you had told me that I would be looking forward to an Aquaman movie,
no.
I'd have laughed in your face. Now it's gonna make $1 billion fucking dollars.
And did you ever watch Entourage?
I caught a couple of them, but yeah,
so
it was all about
in Entourage. The actor Vinny Chase in the show makes Aquaman, and they kind of laugh like it was done as kind of a joke that you would make an Aquaman solo movie, and then it goes on to, and in the show, Aquaman goes on to be this giant blockbuster movie, and he goes from like a decent actor, good actor in a couple things to like Hollywood blockbuster, holy cow thing, and then his life hits this sort of different trajectory. But yeah, they had to round out, I guess, the Justice League, but they picked the right guy. I mean, Momoa is awesome.
Yeah. Somebody said something about when you see him jump into the sub that first time with no shirt, just tattoos and everything. They're like, that's one of the few times you see someone there. Like, he literally looks like a superhero.
Yeah.
Like, there's no padding there.
Yeah.
Because they got something that they said, all right, because they said Chris Evans, but he's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's not always like that. Yeah, he's pretty big for the most part.
Yeah.
Every time I see him. Hemsworth, they said he slims down in between Thor movies, and he does. So I got that. But Momoa, he looks like that all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude is just built like a brick shit house.
The other guy that's like that is Henry Cavill. When in Man of Steel, there's a scene where he's, I don't know, getting something off the laundry line, right? And he doesn't, and you're just like, that dude looks like Superman.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not the suit.
Yeah, yeah. And it was like, like I said, like Chris Evans, I could see, because there are scenes in those movies when he's not in the suit.
Yeah.
Like when he goes and he holds the helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AKA my wife's favorite scene.
Yeah. But so Aquaman staying in 2018. Aquaman, yeah. There were parts of it that I was like, okay, we're getting into a lot of CGI. I was like, but as far as looking at DC as a whole, I was like, dude, you guys nailed it.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
They got the tone right, not too dark.
If you would have told me that I would have watched a bunch of dudes riding on fucking seahorses and sharks and this and that, whatever,
right.
I'm like, there's no fucking way. But I was like, this looks fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, it only took me 2 seconds. Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah.
I was like, is that?
Yes, it is. Yeah, Dolph
My wife
Lundgren.
was like, who is that? I'm like, it's Dolph Lundgren.
Hell yeah, Dolph
She's like,
Lundgren.
holy shit.
Yeah.
These guys just showed up out of nowhere. They were, and they tell the story, even if it's like his backstory is so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's heart wrenching when you watch like the father go down to the pier every day.
Yeah.
Again, we're just gonna spoil shit. So just listen at your own peril. Go watch the damn movie. It's a good movie.
Yeah. Go see it.
Yeah, we'll get. I'm sure there'll be plenty of times when we break down more superhero movies that we'll just wind up discussing more in depth. I think both in this one and in Ant-Man, you had two veteran actors in Michelle Pfeiffer and Nicole Kidman that were wasted, though. Like, they're not wasted really because they played really good roles, but they're not in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, it's great to have them.
Yeah.
So I want to see, like, again, Avengers. I want to see what else they do with her.
Yeah.
If they do an Aquaman, well, they're going to do an Aquaman too.
Yeah, for sure.
If they better. That's the only one you got going right now. So we'll get into, we'll put a pin in that one, and we'll say, okay, coming from Aquaman, what do we see going forward with DC when we get into 2019? But I overall enjoyed that movie. I thought it was great. It was cool.
Yeah,
so
really good.
You finally got one right. Take notes.
Yeah.
All right. Last couple real quick. You haven't seen Bird Box.
I've not.
But this is like the last thing that is all over the friggin' internet.
I know.
Okay?
It's like this giant internet thing, and I've seen I watched the trailer on Netflix, and I was like,
I watched it Saturday.
when am I going to watch this? Because I want to see it. I want to get what the whole thing's about.
You do need to watch it. It's a good movie. I've heard... I haven't read all the articles on it, but I've heard like brief, like skimming through them. Oh, it's an allegory for this, or it's that, or blah blah blah, whatever. Okay, you see in the trailers, if you see something, you go crazy, whatever, and that's all you need to know. Watch the movie. Me overall, I thought it was good, right? I didn't really catch where some of these people are saying, "Oh, it means this." I'm like, well, maybe, but I don't know. I think it just had to do with some type of demon or whatever. It's good. It's really good. It's one of those Netflix originals that's like, oh, okay, I can see it. Keep doing this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
it's a lot of fun. Do more of this. I want to see more of it. On a side note, Netflix had to recently put out a statement, which this is one of the reasons why I wanted you to sit with me and do this fucking podcast, because we love making fun of people. They made a statement that said, while we appreciate all the support and everything else, we want to emphasize, or we want to really request from everybody to please not partake in what's known as the Bird Box Challenge. Apparently,
Are dumbasses blindfolding themselves while they're in the car?
Yes!
Come on. Listen, people. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to not be dumbasses. Attention, people. Stop eating Tide Pods. Stop driving your car with a blindfold on. Stop trying to eat a tablespoonful of cinnamon. Stop all the dumb shit.
They're trying to do everyday activities blindfolded. People are running into walls.
Stop. America, stop. You're better than that.
No, you're not. Actually, no. You know what? Keep doing it for a little while longer, because natural selection will catch up, and then we can all enjoy ourselves. Oh my God! So people are doing this Bird Box Challenge.
Oh, that's funny.
So there you go. You're welcome.
That's hysterical.
I didn't get you anything for Christmas.
That's hysterical.
All right. That's the only reason I want to talk about Bird Box, is because of the challenge.
Yep.
Oh God. So yeah, and there will be more of that kind of shit when we hit our stride, and because oh my God, Florida Man is going to become a segment. Every time I turn on the news now, we're going to be
Oh, can we do one real quick? Florida Man?
Please, go ahead.
McDonald's guy who jumps across the counter because they didn't have any straws. New Year's Eve.
Yes, I remember that.
He's in a McDonald's somewhere outside of Tampa, and he looks, and there's no straws. And so he reaches across and grabs the shirt of the worker behind the counter and starts to like, rah, 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 give me my straw. And she flips out. And she starts wailing on him. And they get in this giant tussle, and now she's suing McDonald's for like $1 billion.
All right. Well, you know what? This is going to become a Florida Man competition with
Yep.
us from now on. We're gonna have to do a little Florida Man competition because I think I got you beat. And I only have to give you the article name, okay, the headline. Florida Man tells police 4 syringes found in rectum are not his. I win. I win.
I don't know who these syringes are. They're in my butt.
I don't know how they got there.
They're in my butt.
There you go. All right, so there's your little side note for the
I'm
night.
holding them for a friend.
God. There you go. See, oh, we have to do more of these. All right. See, we're trying to figure out what the hell we are here. This is going to be fun. All right, the last 2 movies before we get into Avengers, and then we can move into 2019 quickly. One you haven't seen is Bumblebee.
Mm-hmm.
Briefly, you need to go see this movie.
Okay.
And go see it. Like, go take Coleman. I know Preston will say take Coleman. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's all right. You remember everything that we complained about with Michael Bay, where we're like, all right. My biggest pet peeve was every one of their trailers got me like, this might be good, and then I went, oh, except for the first one. The first one I was like, it's good. This movie gives you, but our biggest complaint was it's just there's something missing from the 80s. It's just not there, right? It's here.
Yeah.
You've got it. It looks more like the 80s, and it does a really cool thing where it's a prequel, so it gives enough nods to the original Transformers movie, so you know it's leading into it. But there's enough there to where if they go, oh, you know what, we're just going to ignore all this like everybody else does, and we're going to soft reboot now,
Right.
they can do it.
Okay.
You know, so it's right there on that line, and they walk that line perfect. There's a couple of scenes in, I got one of these friggin' virus scanning things that I want to go download, what do you call it? One of the Adobe Acrobat readers or whatever, and then I accidentally clicked on something, and now I gotta like reboot everything to get rid of that damn thing. Sorry, sidebar. Shit keeps popping up on my computer. I'm getting pissed. There's one shot that's from the trailer, but it looks even better in the movie because you're looking at it on the screen and it's longer. It's the Decepticons getting ready to attack, and you just sit there like, holy shit, it's Soundwave and Shockwave.
Right.
And you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And it's all of them, you know. And they're just all saying that. And then Soundwave talks, and it's Soundwave from the 80s.
Right.
You know? You're like, ah. So, yeah. So you really need to watch this movie. Outside of that, there are little moments in there where you're going to be like, oh, holy shit, they did it, you know. So you'll see those nods, and, yeah, it's really good. You'll like it a lot. Then, okay, second to last one for 2018. Probably one of the best superhero movies we've seen. To me, it's the best Spider-Man movie. It would be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I loved this movie. Yeah. Just a really good movie, period. Like, you could end the sentence right there. Great movie. Really good. Maybe you're right. The best Spider-Man movie that I've seen. I loved how it looked. That you always know that it's animated, and that's going to sound dumb. But some points you're looking at it like, that looks like a comic book just on the screen. And then there's times where you sort of forget that it's almost animated, because everything seems so realistic. But then there's times where like you can see the outline of the panel, or it's a little bit more digitized.
Well, did you notice sometimes that you'd have like almost like it almost made you think that you were accidentally watching a 3D version?
Yeah.
Right? Because we even asked to double check, but then I heard later on too, they were like, no, it's supposed to look like that. The way they filmed it, because it makes it look like when we grew up reading the Sunday comics, if they didn't print
it wasn't
right,
just right, yeah.
You would have that 3.
Yeah.
Remember that
Sometimes
shit?
it was, yes.
You kids who know about this shit.
Right. Right. The, like you could see the layers of the printing process.
Right. And that's what it was supposed to look like. So the fact that they went to that much detail, now, again, it was a little jarring.
Yep.
But, because Heather, like, we never watch 3D movies because she can't stand them. It messes with her vertigo, whatever. So when we were watching that one, she was like, something is a little off. And I'm like, yeah, me too. But then, after a while, I'm like, I kind of caught on.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think I know what they're doing here. And then I looked into
yeah.
it, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's the way they did it. And knowing that they went to that, like, extreme with
Yeah.
it. I'm like, oh shit, okay, yeah, they really did. The comics code in the beginning.
Yeah.
they dropped the comics code, and there was like me and maybe 5 people that were like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Everybody else was like, I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is. I like that part. I loved the story. Miles Morales. And I think I saw an interview with somebody that said we really want to tell the story in a way that could be anybody behind the mask.
Yeah.
So that part was really well done. It's funny when they introduce that dimension's current Spider-Man, the blonde Peter Parker, and he explains the story,
and he's like perfect, and
then they go to the older, I guess, which is really our universe's Spider-Man.
I don't think he is. I think he was supposed to be.
He's
close to. He's the closest one to it.
Yeah.
But because they're divorced in our comic books, they never
right.
really
But he's
got
older,
divorced, but
so you figure because
he's supposed to be close to it.
Every time they tell their story, I was bitten by a spider. Right? They tell that.
We'll
whole
do
thing.
this one more time.
Yeah.
For the first time.
But then you get into like Spider-Gwens and Peter Porkers.
Yeah.
And then I loved that it was actually Nick Cage and not just somebody trying to sound like Nicolas
and
Cage.
Can hear him.
Yeah. At first I thought they got somebody doing a Nicolas Cage imitation, and then you find out it's really him.
I knew that was him.
I didn't know it was him.
What I loved about that was because that was also a dig at. They've had 3 Spider-Men in the real movies.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, we'll tell
One more
this
time.
first time again. You know.
Yeah. And then the Japanese, the kind of
The
anime
little
Spider-Man
girl,
with the robot. Yeah.
The way they kept them in their own lane but
Yeah.
still meshed them at the same time.
Yeah.
It was perfect. Like
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man War couldn't see the the roots.
Yeah.
That it took me like maybe a half a second to realize what the joke was, because everybody else was just like, "What is he doing?" And I went, "Oh my god!" Because I read the comics, I'm like, "Oh, this son of a bitch can't see color."
Yeah,
he's a black and white comic.
Spider-Ham was awesome. The scene where the dad is outside the room and he's sort of tied up, and so he's trying to talk to him. He's like, you don't have to say anything. Like, that's a really good scene.
That's really, really good.
Yeah.
Now, to do a quick, nothing's quick in this podcast, a quick history thing with the comic, there was the whole Peter Parker dies in the comic book, and Miles Morales gets bit by the same spider or a similar one, so it's very close to what the movie did, right? But he doesn't know Peter Parker. He sees Spider-Man, and he knows he's got these abilities, so he does the shit by himself, puts on a mask and does all this stuff. He realizes Peter dies in their world, whatever, because then it does become the mirror that they did to that was as close as you can get for a one-time story. Mm-hmm. It was really good, right? Because in the comic, they give you that, like, he's trying to emulate Spider-Man because, hey, I've got the same powers and he's cool.
Yeah.
And then he dies, so then all of that comes crashing down on Miles Morales in the comics. Like, am I good enough? Yeah. Or whatever, And he tries and tries and tries to live up to what Peter Parker was doing. And there's a moment in there, and we can talk about it online whenever you guys want. You kind of help me out with it because I can't remember where it is. But there's a moment in there where he's questioning what he's doing. And he actually he sits down with Aunt May and Mary Jane. This is after Peter's dead. And he's like, I can't do this. I can't, I don't want to dishonor Peter's memory or whatever. And he's been doing whatever. And basically, they tell him, no, you're doing it. And they give him Peter's web shooters.
Oh, wow.
So it kind of goes into the whole, spoiler alert for Spider-Man, I know it's a newer movie, but it goes with that whole Aunt May moment in the movie, too. So they really hit those, they nailed it to coalesce all of that story into this movie was really cool.
Yeah.
When they hit it, I was like, oh, shit, okay. So, yeah.
I loved the... first of all, I love badass Aunt May.
Yeah.
I love that he has below the shed, 30 stories down, is this Spider-Man lair thing with all the costumes.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. I love, and then the Miles Morales universe. I noticed that the cop cars were PDNY instead of NY. So I'm like, okay, that's a different dimension, slightly different than ours.
Yeah,
and so you could walk into this movie not knowing very much about Spider-Man and get all of it.
Yeah. Because there were movie posters too that were very similar to the stuff. I
Seth
can't
Rogen.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember half of them, but there were movie posters that were out there that were like, oh, okay, I get what they're going for.
But even in that dimension, like when the stuff gets digitized, when the universes that looks like an EMP blast happens, every time something would change, and the people were like, "Oh, maybe it's a Banksy." Stuff like that was awesome.
That made me laugh.
Yeah,
there were the little things, just like this. Like, all right out of the trailers. I'm not ruining anything. When they're all up on the wall, and what's the name, Genki, whatever, is on the bed, because that is the same one that his buddy in Spider-Man: Homecoming is modeled off. Right. So he's like laying around there, and they're all up there, and he looks up, and the only thing that's said is Spider-Ham.
Yeah.
It's like, do animals talk in this universe? Because I don't want to mess them up. Never mind that was sticking to the wall. Yeah. Like, that had me crying. When I first saw that in the trailer, I was like, I have to go see this movie.
Yeah.
So, overall, straight out, that's probably, out of 2018, and I know it's the most recent, so I'm trying to kind of go with gauging it compared to.
Yeah.
That is probably in like the top 3 of everything.
I agree.
Everything that happened in 2018. So if you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause this for 1 second, and we'll be back after these messages. Maybe. And we're back. All right, cool. Sorry. Old man bladder kicked in. All right, so that was Spider-Man. Before we get into the biggest friggin' movie, and this is going to roll us right into 2019, you got anything else from 2018? Because I know we had TV and...
Yeah, my best things, I did this sort of as a best of list. I got the DC Universe app this year, which I love. It's got TV shows, old movies, all the DC animated movies, which I think they are the best at.
Yes.
It's got the new show Titans, which is really good. They have digitized comics, and so I've been able to catch up on different DC Universe comic events that I had missed out on, cool. or knew about but hadn't read every issue of, and so I can catch up on that stuff. Yeah. So that's been a highlight for me. I really liked you talked about the Arrow, Flash, Supergirl universe. In December, they did a 3-part Elseworlds series.
It was really
good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Which led into...
That Batgirl, too.
Batwoman,
yeah. Sorry,
and I had to look this up because I didn't know this.
Amber Rose? No.
Rose...
Oh, some of it. Ruby Rose.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Amber she
Rose
looks like a total badass.
She's freaking hot, too.
Yeah. And
I don't think she plays for our team. It's okay.
And they did this thing where they introduced Gotham into this world, and I know they had mentioned it before. And there used to be this: you could talk about Gotham, but you couldn't go to Gotham.
Yeah.
You couldn't you couldn't visit it. You couldn't see pictures. You couldn't do whatever. They went to Gotham. It looks like a giant shithole. Somehow Batman's missing. You couldn't even refer to Batman before.
Right.
And now you can. And I don't know what loosened up in DC that they got
them
to do it, but I'm glad they did.
What they're going to do with it. Because you can bring Batman in there. Because they're also talking about a Birds of Prey show coming out.
Yep.
And a Birds of Prey movie is supposed to come out.
Yes.
Because, what's her name?
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie. She's jumping into that thing.
Yeah.
Which I'm all for that, too.
But I think Batwoman's going to get a show.
I hope.
In the CW.
I hope.
And so they
She's
will.
just good enough to where I'd watch it.
Yeah. I don't get DC Universe's three major characters are Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, right? But Superman has been all over, like they had the Smallville show, and now they've got Supergirl.
CW kind of shits on him though. You notice that?
The CW Superman, I don't really love. The Supergirl Superman, I don't really love.
Yeah.
And I think it's because the main person in that show obviously is Supergirl, and so if you had this really jacked Superman, then by comparison Supergirl is less than, right?
Yeah.
So he is slighter of build. He's not that tall. He's not that much bigger than she is,
right?
And it's so that she looks his equal.
And then they shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, and
but I don't know why you can do all of these things with Superman, but you can't do them with Batman. I don't know why you can't have a Batman show, or a show that references him. Titans references Batman.
Yeah.
It references Gotham and goes to Gotham. I don't know why. I don't know what the licensing stuff is that you can't use Batman.
I don't know.
Imagery or whatever. I don't know.
I haven't watched a lot of the CW Supergirl.
Yeah.
I've watched the other ones, or I haven't watched all of the Supergirl period before it even came over to CW. I do know from what I've heard, it definitely pushes some political agendas here and there.
Yeah.
You know, which okay. On the one hand, whatever, you know, but to me, there's always, just like, you know, in our podcast, I'm like, you know, no religion, no politics, whatever. But don't try to ram it down my throat in a damn TV show either. It's that kind of stuff, you know. And we can get on a rant on that some other time. But I've heard time and again about how it's very maybe anti-right. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, it feels a little bit that. It's interesting. The other thing, though, when on Superman, it took him 2 or 3 seasons to even introduce Superman. In the first episode, they don't even say the word Superman.
Right.
It was really weird. Like they would say, she would refer to him as my cousin,
right,
or him. Jimmy Olsen had a picture of him, but it's like far. Like they did a lot to not mention Superman.
Right.
And then it was a couple episodes in, they finally said the words Superman. And then 2 seasons later, they introduced Superman. But again, when the star is Supergirl, you don't want to have Superman come save the day all the time, right? You just don't want that. So, I get that point.
So we'll get into those more later. We definitely, a lot of these things we're going to deep dive on in other episodes. So what else you got for 2018?
Those are my things. DC Universe app, the show Titans itself, really well done in the way they introduce Robin and make Dick Grayson his own character, and how they introduce the rest of them into what is a real world, not the with recognizable U.S. cities, which an interesting departure from the DC world that is Gotham, Metropolis, and not New York, Philly, Detroit, right? They weave both of those things in there. So the universe feels more real and less comic booky, although you've got a Starfire and a Raven and those things. But it feels gritty and realer.
All right, I gotta watch it.
And then we saved the best for last with Infinity War.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to touch on, and it just popped out of my head when we were talking about Titans. 2018. Hang on. It's going to go away now. Comic books and stuff. All right. I have not bought comic books for a while. I've subscribed to a lot of different sites where I can read them. I've read some older stuff. So as far as comic books, we're not current. If there's some really cool stuff that you want to talk about that's current, let us know, and we'll kind of try to get into it. Because I just kind of randomly look for stuff to read. Right now, I'm reading Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I'm only on only on issue 3, but it's great.
Yeah.
It tells a whole bunch of his story from the time he became Vader to it's good. It's really good.
That's awesome.
Everything I listen to is like singing about this thing, so I have to read it. So I'm reading that one now. One that I read constantly is The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
That one is now the show, and because we haven't touched on that at all. I watch the show and I watch Fear the Walking Dead religiously. We'll get into that in a separate episode. All I'll say is where a lot of people complaining it was falling off here and there. I think the last season of Walking Dead really picked it up from some of the shit they did. We can get into that later. The comic book is good. I mean, it's running strong. You know, it's one of the few that I actually still like read on a regular basis. Like I actively look for episodes online or issues online. I keep saying episodes. Too much TV and movies. But yeah, that is really as far as comics. I've been going like you. I've been going through back stuff. Noah has just wanted to start reading comics lately. So
Yeah, so is my son.
I've been getting him into some of my old stuff, whatever. Of course, you know, he just watched Venom, so he wants to see, do you have anything with Venom in it? We go digging for a little while, but I found him, like, you know, I actually have, I think, Lethal Protector that I found him, so we've been, like, reading that. So, yeah, so I'm reading a lot of old school shit.
Yeah.
But
I haven't
cool.
been to a comic book. When's the last time you've been to a comic book store?
2 years ago.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's one around here in Winter Garden. There's a few, but we went to one over here. You know what? We will have to go together and make it like an episode.
Absolutely.
We could just like talk into the phone or whatever and just go and just start. Yeah, maybe we'll Facebook Live.
I had not been to a comic book store in forever, and the one that I used to love, Sci-Fi City, which used to be past where 50 and 436 come together down there. They sort of downsized. They used to have this giant, like, in a shopping center, like they have 3 or 4 storefronts. It's downsized a little, but I went to one in where was I? Like Altamont. I took Presley on we went for milkshakes, and then I took her to a comic book store, and she was 3, and that's a terrible idea, taking a 3-year-old to a comic book store. Because I'm like, no, you can't touch that. No, don't touch that. No, let's go.
Yeah. Put her in a backpack like Yoda.
Right.
Get back there.
But yeah, I hadn't been in forever, and I'm trying to get Coleman into comics. He loves them. Trying to get him started on some stuff. It's one of those that I know they're still making comics, but it feels like, I don't know, do kids read comic books anymore? This feels like I don't know, with digital and not podcasts, but like videos and YouTube, and it feels like the comic book itself feels like it's a dying medium. Yeah. I hope it's not.
I hope not, because, you know, like I said before, to me, I agree with Stan Lee. A comic book is like a boob. It's nice to see, but it's better to hold in your hand. You know, we miss you, Stan. All right, so yeah, so we'll go get more into comics.
Yeah,
that's going to be a separate. We'll do a whole thing. In fact, we'll collaborate on a better idea, because I want to do something where we go to the comic book store. Maybe
let's do a
you
live
and I
episode
go
from MegaCon.
Yeah. Hey, let's go. I'll rent a booth. I don't give a shit. I got a little bit of money. Let's go play. All right. So, finally, last one for 2018. And we're going to roll right into 2019 after this one, is Avengers Infinity War. Yeah. Son of a bitch. All right. I don't care what anybody says. To me, Avengers Infinity War was hands down the best movie of 2018. I get the weighing it against individual movies or whatever. I get the arguments people have. But to me, there were so many opportunities to fumble.
Right?
The culmination of 10 friggin' years.
Yep.
And they didn't do it.
Yeah.
They killed this thing.
Yeah.
All right. Go with your first impressions.
So, really,
this is just old enough to where I want to just get into.
Really good. To your point on how it's done, they weaved in the different smaller stories going on. That you had the Tony Stark, Spider-Man sort of wing of the story going on. You had the Captain America, Black Panther, Black Widow thing happening. You had the Thor, Rocket, that thing happening. And, by the way, when they find unconscious Thor, and they're like, he looks like a pirate angel.
Drax.
Yeah.
He is a man.
Yeah.
Dave Bautista,
Yeah.
is hands down one of the funniest fucking human beings. on the planet.
And you go between those sort of mini stories so well.
Yeah.
To get kind of the whole story together. Really well done.
Yeah. Now, I know a lot of people always say that a good sequel, in this vein anyway, a good sequel, you don't have to have seen these other movies in order to enjoy it. It walks that line to where you really don't need to have seen. If you just turn on Infinity War and you don't know anything about anything else, you get the idea that this badass is coming in, and you quickly get, okay, he's collecting these stones for some reason, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, it really helps to have seen even a handful of them.
You want to appreciate all the stuff, but yes.
Right, you want to appreciate all the little nuances.
Right.
But now, to be a geek who, one, grew up reading this shit,
Yeah.
and then to watch from Iron Man 1, from the first time Robert Downey Jr. stood out in the desert, you're like, holy shit, you really, yeah. To come to here 10 years later, right? The payoff was so freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was just like, it blew my mind. Right? From the minute this thing started.
Yeah.
And every little callback,
Yep.
to, we're going to spoil the shit out of everything in Infinity War right now.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, it's your fault.
Yeah, it's your fault.
Screw
Pause.
Go screw.
Yeah. Yeah. Pause, go screw yourself. Then go watch the movie, then come back. Take the time to go screw yourself. If you're anything like me, it'll take about 5 minutes.
You're going to do it twice?
There you go. Thank you. From the minute this thing starts, like with the Loki, we have a Hulk.
Yeah.
That callback, and the way he picks the Hulk apart,
Mm-hmm.
the way Thanos just takes him apart in there, like, let him have his fun.
Yeah.
Every character in that fucking movie was so perfect.
Yeah.
Ebony Maw, Squidward.
Yeah.
Side note, I would have liked this better. I heard that Tony calls him Squidward in New York, only in the American version.
Oh, is that right?
Overseas, he calls him Voldemort.
Oh, funny.
And I'm like, that would have, it was, the way they changed shit or whatever. They didn't think other people would get Squidward, so they went with Squidward here. I was like, you could have called him Voldemort here. That's even better, But whatever. All right, fine. Just the way every character played off of each other, was just so perfect. It really, like, I was worried. Nah, you know what? I think by the time we got past, like, Guardians, I was like, I don't worry about Marvel anymore. They just kind of keep going, whatever. By the time we got to this, I was so amped. I was like, if they fuck this up, I really walked into there like, there's no way they're fucking this up.
Yeah.
The minute I saw those trailers, I was like, I'm good.
It's amazing that over the course of 10 years, all the movies, except for the Hulks, have been really good.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
I don't think... And the Hulks are only not good sort of on a curve in comparison. They're not...
The first one...
The first Ang Lee one is...
yeah, that's because it went artsy-fartsy. I saw what he was going for. I like the comic book thing. Cute. You can't see me making my faces.
Those are the only movies that aren't that good.
But the Edward Norton one is canon.
Yeah.
Well, because they reference it.
Right.
Multiple times within, so it's, and Tony Stark does show up at the end of it too.
Right.
So that one is canon. It's just okay. He just looks different.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But they just did every part of Infinity War so well, and then the I don't want to use the word payoff because it ends sort of, it's sad, but like you watch the heroes that I grew up with, you grew up with, that you have come to know as part of your upbringing, and you just watch them turn to dust, and you're like, how are they going to get out of this?
Yeah.
What are we going to do here? Like, and because then or Spider-Man's got a movie coming out, they're clearly going to make another Black Panther movie. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You're like, I wanted the next one to, like, it could have started right the next minute, and you could have charged me $50, and I would have paid it.
Yeah. Now, all right. Leading up to this, again, one of the reasons I would have loved to have you and I have been doing this podcast about a year and a half ago. Leading up to this, I was talking amongst my friends, so this would have been recorded. I was always saying in Infinity War, once they started like building to this, I said, if they want to get really ballsy, they do the whole fight, whatever, he's got the gems, and then you get the snap. I can't snap right. There it goes. And then the screen goes black. Right? That's what I kept saying. I'm like, if they do it, I will throw my popcorn across the screen and be like, yes! What happened in Infinity War was the closest you can come artistically to what I fucking called.
Yep.
And I was like, son of a bitch, it did it. When he was like, you should have gone for the head. I was like, oh, shit! I didn't see the dust thing coming because I've read the comics.
Right.
So I know it was just, whoop.
Yep.
The dust thing, that was that emotional, like,
yeah.
Okay, we're going to turn the knife now. And I was like, oh, this is even better than I expected. So where, you were like, oh, you don't expect it to end that way. That's literally where I expected it to end. And when I was like, because I was totally invested, so I'm not looking at my clock, but I'm like, we got to be coming to the end. And when Thor comes and stops him, I'm like, are they really going to stop the whole thing? I'm like, because they could have gone that way with it too. You never knew at that point.
That would have been them
stopped
screwing
him.
it up.
Yeah, they would have fucked it up completely. And that was me. I was like, when he hit him, I was like, no, they didn't just stop the entire thing, because I knew there was also another Avengers movie coming. Right. But I'm like, well, they could have stopped him and they could have went a whole other direction with Avengers 4.
Yeah.
4. So I'm like, well, shit, he just hit him. And when he said you should have gone for the head, I was in my seat next to Heather. I'm like, fuck yeah, here we go. And he did it. And once he snapped, everybody's reaction after that, I was like, holy shit, this is good.
Yeah.
Because again, I know, they're going to make it right somehow. Somehow this is going to come right. But all these other sons of bitches didn't know that. So I'm in the theater with these people, and you see people turn into dust, and they did it all so perfectly.
Yeah.
The Peter and Tony moment.
Yeah.
That was the fact, okay, Peter's got spider sense, so he really feels something coming.
Yeah.
That blew my mind. I was like, wow, that's really good. The little things that they did in that whole thing. And when then it goes, you see him sit down, looking at the sunset, and he smiles like he said he was going to do. And then it goes, Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
And I heard from across the theater, what? I was like, fuck yeah. And my wife's sitting next to me going, that's it? I'm like, oh yeah. That was the only time I thought they might not do an end credit scene.
Right.
I was like, if they just stop it right there, I'm going to sit there and be like, we're going drinking. This is great. Again, it blew my mind. It hurt. It was like, holy shit. It was really, it was heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
But it was exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
And then that little tick at the end with Nick Fury.
Yeah, and
Samuel
Jackson.
Yeah. And the one time he utters, motherfucker. That was perfect. And then you see the pager, and you see the Captain Marvel symbol.
Yeah.
Right away, Heather, what does that mean?
Right.
All right, come on, let's walk to the car. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So that was such a way to end that set.
Yeah.
And the only other thing I would say on that, I mean, we'll break it down more in our Marvel or MCU thing. But did you notice who's left at the end of that snap? For the most part, is all the original Avengers.
Yeah.
So it's going to be kind of a counterbalancing there.
And I feel like it would be a good way, because I know Marvel's moving into kind of the phase 2 or B or whatever they're calling it in terms of where they go from here. Chris Evans isn't going to be Captain America anymore.
Maybe. They've walked that back a little bit.
Oh, have they?
Yeah. Quick.
I don't know if
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, is going to be Iron Man anymore.
He doesn't have to be Iron Man. He could
just be Tony.
He could be Tony. He could mentor Spider-Man more.
You could do. There's a couple different ways to go, but I know that what I've seen, is another Doctor Strange movie, another Black Panther movie. Obviously, Captain Marvel comes out. They're going to start doing some different stuff, and so it would, if in Endgame, if it required a sacrifice of the original Avengers, it would be a way to kind of move into phase 2 or B, whatever they're calling it, and not have to sort of bring those guys back if they didn't want to.
And after we do our next couple episodes, when we sit down and do our walkthrough of the MCU, I want to talk about what we think is going to happen in those.
Yeah.
Speculate. Total speculation. But, so I think that brings us to the end of 2018.
Yeah.
Because holy shit, that was a while.
Okay, what happened there was Paul and I like to talk, and we kind of go off on tangents, so we ran over the time that we were thinking about doing. We were going to combine one episode of 2018 and 2019, but decided to split it instead. So that is the end of the 2018 episode. We didn't really record an ending, so here it is. Just hit us up on Facebook or email us at whatifgeeks@gmail.com. Check us out, talk to us, let us know what you think, what else you want to talk about, and we will see you soon. Later.